FSN Radio. It's all about what's next. Go to financialsurvivalnetwork.com and sign up for your free weekly newsletter. You'll also get 3 free reports. The Financial Survival Network. It's all about what's next.
Welcome. You are listening to the Financial Survival Network. I'm Kerry Lutz, and today is December 20th, 2019. Well, we've got somebody really special in terms of the business lingo. We call it a great get. A get is somebody you get on the show, and you're very familiar with him. He's been around a long time, best-selling author, hugely successful real estate investor, wealthy beyond all belief, and has taught tens of thousands of you out there how to do what he's done. I'm talking about Robert Kyosaki. He's got a new book. It's due out on January 14th. You can pre-order it now at Amazon. The book is entitled Who Stole Your Pension by Robert Kyosaki. Robert, it's truly an honor to have you on the show. As I told you before, pre-call, I've read almost all of your books. I found them amazing. You were the one who taught me about debt, good debt and bad debt. Nobody ever bothered to explain that to me before. And hey, I went to law school, I went to college. Nobody ever said there's a good debt and there's a bad debt. You know, your book is so timely because we look at places like Illinois, New Jersey, Kentucky. Those are just the public pensions that are in danger. Pensions all over the globe are in danger, correct?
Correct. Absolutely.
So the solution, all right, because you're not a person that just complains and, objects to the status quo and how unfair it is. Obviously, you wouldn't be writing a book like that unless you had a solution.
Right.
So what do we do?
Well, first of all, the book is written, co-authored with a SEC attorney, former SEC attorney. And the reason he is co-author is because he realized the SEC wasn't doing anything. So the back cover of Who Stole My Pension starts with question, what is America's number one export? And the answer is toxic assets, which is why, when Warren Buffett said, what do you call it?
Yeah, derivatives are weapons.
Mass financial destruction.
Yeah.
That's what Wall Street produces, and it ripped off the mom and pop and their homes in 2008 with the subprime mortgages, but nothing ever stopped. So the bomb making continued, and when they dropped interest rates to below zero, then these pensions started buying more toxic assets from Wall Street, and so now they're all set to go off all over the world. I mean, Australia, in the hunt for yield, as they say, they need some returns because they need to make 7.5%, and they're only getting about 2%. They started buying more of these toxic assets, and they're all set to go off.
Yeah, junk bonds. There's a reason they call them junk bonds, and all of the savviest investors have said individual investors have no business getting anywhere near junk bonds, but Wall Street, in its insatiable quest for monster profits, will sell anything to anybody as long as they can make a profit on it. So we're heading again to another crisis. And by the way, your books, I think if people followed your advice, probably you're somewhat well situated to withstand the tsunami that's about to embark upon us. But are we going to see another real estate crash like we saw in 07 and 08 and 09?
Well, first of all, let me paraphrase that. Crashes are good because that's basically the markets having a sale, like Walmart having a sale. Everybody runs in. But when financial markets have a sale, everybody runs out. So I'm not afraid of crashes per se. What I am concerned about is this one's going to be bigger because after 2008, they didn't stop. Quantitative easing basically means counterfeiting money.
Yeah.
And they went to zero interest rate policy. So today, what 10-year, U.S. 10 years, about 1.7 or something. Mm-hmm. What that means, and mommy and daddy are still telling you to save money. Mm-hmm. You got to be kidding me. Why would you save money when they're printing trillions and they're going to charge you money to keep your money in the bank next? And that's why, as you know, I write, and it's just kind of a wake-up saying, look, you better wake up pretty quickly because things are changing very fast right now. So the pension problem in America, these are the teachers, firefighters, and police officers, the defined benefit pensions, which is Ted, my co-author's forte, the SEC attorney. Teachers, firefighters, and police officers, that pension crisis is estimated between $9 trillion to $14 trillion. So they keep buying more of these toxic assets, hoping they can pay these police officers their money. And at the same time, on my side, which is the reason there's two authors, there's defined benefit, which Ted covers, and I cover defined contribution, today known as a 401k or IRAs or RRSPs in Canada or superannuations in Japan, in Australia. And they're just loading up with toxic weapons of mass destruction because they can't get yield.
Shocking. Well, it reminds me of that old saying, we've learned nothing and forgotten nothing. And that's the situation we're in. And like, I've been a big gold proponent, but gold has been literally in the dumps for the past
10 years.
Yeah. I got into this game here, podcasting about alternative investing, precious metals, in June of 2011 and full time. And right in October, my timing was perfect. October, gold peaked, silver peaked, and it's been kind of downhill and sideways ever since, until last summer when miraculously it came out of the doldrums. But people who've been waiting, kind of feeling like, what did I do here? The gold stocks in the dumps, all these different investment classes that you thought were safety have been stood on their heads. So you're telling me that gold, silver, going to have the dog is going to have its day?
Well, I'm counting on it, but it depends, as you know, is what country you live in. So if you live in the United States, gold doesn't change much because the dollar at this time in history is strong. But every other country, like if you live in Mexico or Japan or China, gold's very, very expensive relative to the currency of your country. So I don't know if you see me on television, I'm almost telling people to buy silver because silver is at a 72% off the market right now. It's so cheap.
Mm.
So I've been telling my doctors and friends and all that, just go buy some U.S. silver eagles, and rather than saving dollars. The dollar is strong, but how long can it stay strong? I don't know. But gold and silver, I call God's money, and they've been here since the earth was formed. I'd rather hang on to God's money. And if you're young, you're 25 years old, maybe Bitcoin will work for you. But anything but the U.S. dollar right now. You can save dollars if the dollar is strong because their interest rates are still at 1.75. But when that changes, then the dollar, Doug Casey says the U.S. dollar is the last horse in line at the glue factory or something like that.
We say it's the Taj Mahal of Baltimore. Yeah. So
funny.
Really, you got to go over to Amazon, pre-order the book, Who Stole My Pension? It's must reading. So obviously precious metals, but what about owning hard assets? Like Jim Rickards always says, the wealthy, when they got to take off, when they leave town, they roll up the Picasso. It's really easy. It rolls up into a little package and you put it under your arm and you leave the country. But most of us don't own Picassos or any kind of works of art that actually have a value, and they can go down in value too. A lot of what's happened in art and trophy real estate is due to the incredible printing of currency units around the globe.
Correct. Everything goes up and down. But what he talks about in Palazzo Colonna, that was in his book Road to Ruin. You want to invest in things that last, which is gold, silver, real estate, and fine art. And I'm like you. I invest in everything but the fine art because I don't know anything about fine art. I stay in what I know, so I have tons of gold and I have tons of real estate that pay cash flow. So I don't need the dividend from stocks or bonds.
Right. So are we going to go total Mad Max here? Or is this just going to be a global reset, like Rickards says, or somewhere in the middle? either way, it looks like the middle class gets wiped out.
That's what it looks like to me. And that's why, I started writing all my books, is because, when Trump and I know he's hated by a lot of people, but when Trump and I got together to write our book was Why We Want You to Be Rich. And the reason we came up with that title is because there's only two choices today, rich or poor.
Right. Well, the great Reverend Ike, who is a evangelic preacher in Harlem, in New York, in the 60s and 70s, used to say the best thing you could do for the poor is not be one of them.
Was that Reverend Ike?
Yeah.
He's my hero, man. He said things like, "You can't lose with the stuff I use."
Exactly. And he was really entertaining too. So.
Oh, he's hysterical. I've actually hired him to speak for my group one time, and we were dying laughing. He's so funny, he's hysterical.
Hey, and that's a great point, because entertainment, the way we communicate best is through humor and through entertaining context, if you will. One thing I have to say about your books, books about money, usually you think they're very dry, boring, M1, M2, and, nobody can follow them. Your books, and all of your programs, and I've listened to your books, read them, are all entertaining at their core. Really, it's fun to do them, like your game Cash Flow. So this doesn't have to be a real dreary task of realigning your assets.
Oh, thank you for saying that, because when people ask what I should invest in, I said invest in, do what you love and invest in what you love. So I love real estate. I love gold and silver. I've taken two companies public. One was a silver mine in Argentina, and the other was a gold mine in China, which the Chinese took.
Yeah, well, that's the Chinese for you.
Live and learn here. I love it. I love business.
Yeah. So, and again, that is the danger that we all live under, is expropriation by the government.
Right.
Had on a guest the other day, Martin Armstrong's written a seminal work on how governments always default on their debt, and financial crises are the norm. And, he's talking about what happened in Germany, hyperinflation. Well, right before that, they imposed a 10% wealth tax, where they just said, we need your money, we're taking it. And that led to lack of confidence in the government. And that's what set off the hyperinflation, which most people aren't aware of. We have to be risk managers, insure against governmental stupidity and governmental evil, right?
Right.
So,
well, that's what Elizabeth Warren is promoting.
Yeah, and we know where that's going to go. So,
right.
Hey, misconceptions.
People don't understand what a wealth tax is. They've tried it in America. Is anything you own, you always pay 3% on. But today it's called real property tax and other taxes. They just changed the name. What I have as a real estate owner is that they're going to start jacking up. They already have. They're going to tax anybody with real estate. For example, in the Communist Republic of Hawaii, because I own a house there, but I'm not a resident, they triple my taxes. They triple.
Right. Same in Florida.
I mean, they're desperate for money. It's ridiculous.
Yeah. Same thing in Florida. You have a cap. If you're a resident homestead exemption, they can only raise it, I think, 2 or 3% a year, your taxes. But if you're not an owner and you're not domiciled in the state, then they can go up to 10%, which is getting towards confiscatory. Now, one thing Trump did that is underappreciated is Section 179 of the IRS code, bonus depreciation, and the ability to write off large chunks of your investment, virtually all of it, CapEx, in the year that you take it.
Correct.
And that's been a boom for real estate investors, but so many of you real estate investors out there don't even know about it.
Correct.
So
that's why I recommend my advisor's name is Tom Wheelwright. He's a book called Tax-Free Wealth. And if you really want to know how Trump and I do it by not paying taxes legally, it's the book Tax-Free Wealth by Tom Wheelwright. Because your most accountants don't even know it, because most accountants are not real estate guys.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I'm a recovering attorney, and I saw Tom at a conference recently.
Oh, he's good, huh?
Oh, he was amazing. And I said, why isn't everyone doing it? And the beauty is, Robert, even if you bought real estate after September 17th, 2017 up to just say the end of December 31st of 2018, you can still go back there and amend your returns and get the government to give you money back.
Yep.
I mean,
that's why we love Trump. If you're poor, you don't like him. If you, well, a lot of people do. I mean, they're recognizing this impeachment is such a sham. Jesus.
Yeah.
I mean,
due process.
Well, wait, they impeach the guy.
Yeah.
It only takes years to gather enough information to impeach a president.
Okay, well, we lived through Nixon, all right, and he resigned in lieu of impeachment, and who knows if they would have been able to impeach him. Probably he lost the confidence, but this is a whole different animal. But staying away from politics, but everything comes down to politics in the end because economics dictates the politics. Is there any way out of this? Is there any way that the government can avoid what appears to be the inevitable collapse?
FSN Radio. It's all about what's next.
Silver One Resources is an exploration and development company backed by strategic investors Eric Sprott and SSR Mining. The company is focused on its Candelaria mine project in Nevada, where there is already a historic resource estimated at 127 million ounces of silver. The Candelaria mine historically was the highest grade silver producer in Nevada, generating over 68 million ounces of silver at an amazing average production rate of over 1,250 grams per ton. The project has tremendous expansion potential as past drilling has outlined deeper, high-grade silver targets for future drill programs. Silver One is highly leveraged to the price of silver and is cashed up and poised to increase shareholder value. Silver One trades in New York under the ticker SLVRF and in Toronto under the ticker SVE. To learn more, go to silverone.com. That's silverone.com.
The Financial Survival Network. It's all about what's next.
It's interesting, and I brought that question up, and was I 33 that Roosevelt installed Social Security? I'm Japanese, and the Japanese call it Social Security. And I was cracking up because I asked this guy, what would happen if they ended Social Security? He says there would be blood in the streets, there would be rioting like we've never seen before. Because Americans are so poor, but we look good on the surface. But you take that Social Security away and Medicare, we're dead. So we're now finished anyway. It's just a matter of time.
Time and demographics.
That's why I've been in gold since '72. I wrote about it in my book, Fake. I flew behind enemy. I was a Marine pilot. I flew behind enemy lines with my helicopter to buy gold. That's how. I was not desperate, but I was kind of interested in what this thing gold was. I didn't know what gold was because we don't teach that. And so now I own gold mines and silver mines. I own gold and silver and all this because I can see the end coming. You can see it too.
Yeah. So where do you go? Like maybe you can go get an island or you go to New Zealand and build a bunker. But for Joe Sixpack, he's got nowhere to go.
Well, even better than that is you look at the price of silver today. It's under $20. Man.
Yeah.
It was at 50 at one time, so it's still underpriced. It's so underpriced that people still don't buy silver. I'm going, my God, we gonna wait till it's 50 again?
Hey, and it's the only commodity that has not hit a new high in the past 40 years. The only commodity out there. All the others have hit new highs, including gold.
Yeah. So I'm sitting there, and so I finally got. I'm even got. Some of my employees, well, it's so expensive. I said, $20 for an eagle? Well, it's expensive. When do I spend it? So
Hopefully never.
For me.
Hopefully never. But if you need to, it'll be there. And my God, can you just see a system where we go back to effectively real money? I mean, it would mean utter collapse of literally everything that we've built up post World War II.
Right. But I don't know if this is true or not, but I hear it enough times is that, the Chinese and the Russians are swinging hard to back the yuan or renminbi with gold. If they do that, we're toast anyway.
I've heard it over and over and over again. I don't believe it because look, at the crux, they're authoritarian regimes. And what is the one thing that you can control more people, more ways than anything else. It's through your central bank and your monetary system. I mean, it is the ultimate expression of a sovereign entity, and not for the good. I mean, look, the U.S. got away great without a central bank until the Federal Reserve back in the early 1900s. So
1913.
Yeah.
What else was created the same year?
IRS, the income tax.
That's for the IRS.
Yeah, the two go hand in hand.
Well, you debt taxes.
Yeah, yeah. Well, you paint a pretty bleak picture, Robert, but you seem to be optimistic. Is that just your nature, or do you see good things there too?
Well, to me, it's just a game. You know what I mean? It's like, I played football and I rode, I played rugby and I played golf and all that. If you take it too seriously, you shouldn't play the game. Because sometimes you lose out there. But at least you can lose. I think what the problem is are the billions of people who can't afford to lose. That's the problem. And I think that's why you and I recommend gold and silver. Because all fiat currencies go to zero. It's historic. And it's not long before the U.S. dollar is at zero. And that's what I'm saying to people. What's going to happen then? Well, that'll never happen. I said, okay. Fine,
the government will never let it happen, right?
Yeah. So in my book, Who Stole My Pension, I basically point out that the Federal Reserve Bank, the Treasury, and Wall Street are criminal organizations. Oh, how can you say that? But I say that for the shock effect. You know what I mean? Just to kind of shock people out of their complacence. Because if they look at you look at the math and you look at the story, they don't match up. I mean, how in the world can CalPERS, which is the California State Pension for Teachers, be $1 trillion underwater? Well, who's going to pay for that? The taxpayer. Well, it's not us. Aren't you a taxpayer? Don't you live in California? Look at all the states in the union who are bankrupt because of their pension.
Mm-hmm.
So what I'm saying is the pension is the snowflake, or the straw that breaks the camel's back, or the next shoe to drop. So that's why I have lots of gold and silver, because I suspect, I'm not sure, but I'll ask what you think. If, let's say, the U.S., and this is kind of, Who Stole My Pension is two authors. Ed Siddell is an SEC attorney. He's the biggest whistleblower in America on Wall Street. They're robbing us blind. Wall Street's robbing us blind. He just goes after them. Made $74 million last year. And I am the expert on defined contribution, which is the 401k and the IRA. So if it goes bust, is the U.S. government going to let Social Security down, or are they going to print money? If all these pensions go bust, are they going to just let these guys die in the street, or are they going to print money? And that's really the question. For people like you and me, you want to say, well, if they print money, then gold and silver makes sense. If they don't print money, then guns and ammunition make sense.
Yeah. I always said I wanted to come up with a currency translation. I wanted to come up with a table like measured in 9mm rounds, like how many rounds to buy a beer, how much for McDonald's, like for a Big Mac, because we might be on the 9mm standard. In fact, just as a little anecdote here, I accidentally in the right around 2006-07, I bought some ammunition. It was Colt 45, but not ACP. So that's in the old, fashioned revolvers. And I go to the range and I open the thing up, and my friend is with me. He says, "You dummy, you bought this stuff. It's not ACP." So I said, "Oh God." So I throw it in the closet. I forget about it. 3 years ago when Obama's in, there's an ammunition shortage. This stuff is selling. I bought it for like $100 a case. It's selling for $1,000 a case on Gunbroker. It was my best performing asset for the decade.
Like what they say, the definition of intelligence is if you agree with me, you're intelligent. You're a very intelligent man.
Well, thanks. I like to think so, but I've done some really stupid things in my life for being an intelligent person, but I recognize how stupid they were. Maybe that's the sign of true intelligence, when you can really look at yourself and say, gee, I was a real idiot.
Yeah. Well, I had a friend who had 8 million rounds of 223 or 5.56, the M16 round.
Mm-hmm.
At 8 million rounds, and he was buying it for like pennies. And then after that mass school shooting, made fortunes.
I believe it.
The whole way to make a fortune. But he says, I wasn't buying it for that, but that's what's going on in the economy today.
Oh, so true. So
yep.
If you're a homeowner, does it make sense to have debt on your home and then in the hopes that everything's going to collapse and you'll wind up owning your home free and clear?
That's kind of my theory, and it is a theory, so don't take it as gospel. I think they're going to print money. And if they print money, then all debt gets cheaper. That's how I look at it. If they don't print money, then debt gets more expensive.
Yeah. Well, then the real purchasing price of gold will go up in any event. Either way, you're going to make out, obviously the dollar is going to be the last thing to go. Like, we kind of agree on that because it is the reserve currency for better or for worse. And it's done well, actually, during this whole credit bust cycle for the past 10 years. It's stable and it's become a safe haven. And it's the illusion of this safe haven for investors all over the world because a big hedge fund can't put all their money in gold. So if you're a European hedge fund manager, are you going to put your money in Deutsche Bank for the weekend and not be able to sleep? Or are you going to throw it into JP Morgan Chase, where probably it's going to continue on in some form?
Well, let me add another. I mean, I agree with you. Let me give you another point of view on this whole thing. Is why is the dollar so strong? And there's many reasons for it. But one of them is because the United States Navy controls the trade, the trade lanes throughout the world.
Mm-hmm.
So you remember, people like, in 1812 and all this, the British blockaded us. They all run these blockades and all that. So I went to military school. And as long as the U.S. Navy controls the sea, then the trade will stay open. But just 2 days ago, China showed off its brand new first aircraft carrier built in China. They have a Russian aircraft carrier they built in Russia. But the Chinese have come up with their first aircraft carrier, and that's what those two islands are, someplace off in the South China Sea, is that if they block us from Asia, we're going to war.
Oh, yeah.
And that's when the dollar goes to pieces. So I look at not only trade, but I look at the first aircraft carrier. That's not a good sign. So they're really coming after us.
This is true. There's a kind of inevitability, but they've got their own problems. One thing I've learned, and I think you'll agree, is that things never turn out the way you really expect them to.
No.
Right?
Right.
I mean, Hong Kong.
But they're not standing still, and I think Americans, not the American government, Americans are just, saying, well, nothing will change. America will be always the best. The dollar will be the strongest. And I say, well, there's people coming. People hate us.
Oh, yeah.
People hate us, and the best way to destroy America, as Rickard says, is through currency. Destroy the U.S. dollar, you destroy America.
It's over.
It's that close.
It's over.
By the way, I'm writing a book with Jim this year. It's called Raven.
Excellent. Well, we'll definitely have you back on then. Guess we got to wrap up because I know you have other people to talk to. Really been a pleasure. So the book is Who Stole My Pension? Pre-order it now at Amazon. It's coming out January 14th. Maybe we can have you back on when it comes out. I will read it from cover to cover.
Okay.
All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
The Financial Survival Network. It's all about what's next.
I hope you enjoyed this interview with Robert Kyosaki, truly one of the financial masters of our time, somebody who really has the ability to define very complex concepts, economic, financial concepts in very ordinary, everyday terms. A true master, someone who really has figured out the system, has cracked the system. And if you listen to him 10, 12, 20 years ago, you would have cracked the system too. Unfortunately, I didn't. So here I am. But I'm not complaining. It's just his books, his whole approach, even his cash flow game is all about having fun, making it fun. He's an entertainer first, but he's also an educator and an informed voice for the debate that's going on now. And hey, we really appreciate him coming on. Hope you enjoyed this. Questions or comments? I will forward your questions off to Robert. If you have any, just send it to kl@kerrylutz.com. The Twitter feed is @KerryLutz. Facebook page is Financial Survival Network. FinancialSurvivalNetwork.com is our home, and you can sign up for our newsletter there. We just sent one out the other day. It's a review of our latest podcasts and shows. And please like, subscribe, share on YouTube. Subscribe on any platform you're listening to this production on. It really helps me a lot when you do that. We just did a really good review of the Democratic candidates and what's really going on there. You want to take a look at it for sure. Hey, I'm not a pessimist. I like to think I'm a realist, and I'm optimistic too. I think man has always figured out ways to do this, to get through these things, and we will get through this one too, but not without a lot of pain. Anyway, it's Kerry Lutz signing off.
FSN Radio. It's all about what's next. Go to FinancialSurvivalNetwork.com and sign up for your free weekly newsletter. You'll also get 3 free reports. The Financial Survival Network. It's all about what's next.